Sarah pressed her forehead against the cold glass window, watching steam rise from cups she couldn't afford. Her reflection stared back, hollow eyes, unwashed hair tucked beneath a faded baseball cap, clothes she'd been wearing for 6 days straight. The 27-year-old marketing coordinator, who once pitched campaigns to Fortune 500 companies, now counted pennies for a cup of water. Life had a cruel sense of humor. She'd been sleeping in her 15-year-old Honda Civic for a week, parked behind a grocery store 3 miles from the downtown office where she used to work. The eviction notice had come first, then the job loss, then the complete unraveling of everything she thought was permanent. Her emergency fund had evaporated paying for her mother's chemotherapy. Her credit cards were maxed. Her friends had their own struggles. And pride, that stubborn, stupid pride, kept her from asking for help until it was too late. Inside the coffee shop, Marcus wiped down tables during the afternoon lull. At 42, he'd seen enough of life's sharp edges to recognize someone standing on one. He noticed the young woman outside, not because she looked homeless, but because she looked lost. There was a difference. Homeless was a circumstance. Lost was a state of the soul. He'd been both. 15 years ago, Marcus had lived in his car too, after his restaurant failed and his wife left, taking their daughter. He'd spent 8 months wondering if anyone would notice if he disappeared. But someone had noticed. A stranger at a church soup kitchen had sat with him, listened to his story, and helped him find work. That stranger had saved his life, not with money, but with dignity. Marcus pushed open the coffee shop door, the bell chiming. "Hey, miss, you okay out here?" Sarah jumped, her heart hammering. She'd been invisible for days, and suddenly someone was seeing her. "I'm fine," she said automatically, the lie everyone tells. "You look cold." Marcus's voice was gentle, non-judgmental. "I'm about to make myself a coffee. Would you like one? On the house?" Every instinct screamed at Sarah to refuse, to protect what little dignity she had left, to not be a charity case. But she was so tired, and the cold had seeped into her bones, and something in this man's eyes told her he wasn't offering pity. "I don't have money," she whispered. "Didn't ask you for any." Marcus held the door open. "Come on, it's too cold to be standing out here." The warmth of the coffee shop hit Sarah like an embrace. Marcus gestured to a corner booth away from the other customers. "Have a seat. How do you take your coffee?" "Black is fine." She slid into the booth. Her body sagging with exhaustion, she'd been fighting for days. The vinyl seat felt like luxury. Her hands trembled as she wrapped them around the steaming mug Marcus placed before her. He sat down across from her with his own cup. Didn't hover. Didn't interrogate, just sat. "I'm Marcus." "Sarah." Her voice cracked on her own name. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment. Sarah sipped the coffee, and tears unexpectedly filled her eyes. It wasn't just the warmth or the caffeine, it was being treated like a person again, like she mattered. "This is really kind of you," she managed. Marcus shrugged. "Somebody did the same for me once. Figured I should pass it along." He paused, then said carefully, "You staying nearby?" Sarah's defenses rose immediately. "I'm between places right now." "That's a polite way of saying your car," Marcus said, not unkindly. She froze, shame flooding her cheeks. "How did you—" "Because I've been there." He met her eyes steadily. "About 15 years ago, lived in my Buick for 8 months. Something in Sarah cracked open. Maybe it was exhaustion. Maybe it was relief at not having to pretend anymore. "A week," she admitted. "I've been sleeping in my car for a week." The words hung between them, fragile, honest, terrifying. Marcus nodded slowly. "What happened?" And Sarah talked. About her mother's cancer, about liquidating her savings, about the layoff that came at the worst possible time, about the eviction notice and the desperate job applications that went unanswered, about showering in gym bathrooms and parking lots she rotated through so no one would report her, about the bone-deep exhaustion of having nowhere to rest. Marcus listened without interrupting, without offering empty platitudes. When she finished, he said, "The church down the street has a program. They help people get back on their feet. Temporary housing, job placement, that kind of thing. Would you let me make a call?" Sarah hesitated. "I don't want charity." "It's not charity. It's community." Marcus's voice was firm. "I work with them sometimes. Good people. They helped me when I needed it. Let me pay it forward." Something shifted in Sarah's chest. She'd been drowning for so long, refusing every life preserver, because she thought she should be strong enough to swim alone. But maybe strength wasn't about refusing help. Maybe it was about having the courage to accept it. "Okay," she whispered. Marcus made the call right there. 40 minutes later, a woman named Patricia arrived with kind eyes and practical information. There was a room available at a transitional housing facility. It was clean, safe, and Sarah could stay while getting back on her feet. There were resources, resume workshops, job boards, counseling services. "We've all needed help sometime," Patricia said simply. "Let us help you." That night, Sarah slept in a real bed for the first time in a week. She cried into the pillow, tears of relief, gratitude, and grief for the pride that had almost kept her suffering alone. The next morning, Marcus stopped by the facility with a bag of toiletries and a box of pastries from the coffee shop. "Thought you might need these," he said. "Why are you doing this?" Sarah asked. "You don't even know me." Marcus smiled. "I know enough. And I remember what it felt like when someone saw me as a human being instead of a problem. That guy changed my life. Not with money, with presence, with showing up." Over the following weeks, Marcus became a steady presence. He didn't solve Sarah's problems for her, but he showed up. He connected her with a friend who needed temporary marketing help. He invited her to the coffee shop for meals when she looked tired. He checked in without being intrusive. 3 months later, Sarah landed a full-time position at a nonprofit. It paid less than her old job, but the work felt meaningful. She moved into a small apartment, started rebuilding, and every Tuesday, she met Marcus at the coffee shop, not as a charity case and her benefactor, but as friends. She'd learned his daughter's name, heard about his dreams of reopening a restaurant someday, discovered his terrible jokes and surprising talent for crossword puzzles. 6 months after that first cup of coffee, Sarah volunteered at the same program that had helped her. She started noticing the people others walked past, the ones standing outside shop windows, looking lost. One rainy afternoon, she spotted a young man sitting on a bench outside the library, his backpack his only shelter. Sarah recognized that look. That lost, exhausted, trying to be invisible look. She walked over, umbrella in hand. "Hey, you okay? There's a coffee shop down the street. Can I buy you a cup? Get you out of this rain?" The young man looked up, surprised, suspicious, desperate. "I don't have money." "Didn't ask you for any," Sarah said, echoing Marcus's words from months before. "Come on, nobody should be sitting in the rain." As they walked together toward the coffee shop, Sarah felt the circle completing. One act of kindness had saved her. Now she could pass it forward. Not because she was required to, but because she'd learned the most profound truth. We survive by helping each other survive. The coffee shop door chimed as they entered. Marcus looked up from behind the counter, caught Sarah's eye, and smiled. He understood immediately. Without a word, he started making 2 coffees, because that's what humans do. That's what we're supposed to do. We see each other. We show up. We offer coffee and dignity and the simple, revolutionary act of treating each other like we matter. Because we do, all of us, even, especially when we're lost,